Okay, so for today's video, all I'm going to simply do is read a text. This is the launch text for Unit 3. So I'm going to go ahead and read just this short introduction that it has there, and then the text itself, and I'll have assignments for this later this week. But today, all it is just simply a reading. I'll be checking my emails after I record this. If you have not sent me an email with 3 different days and 3 different time slots, please do so. That way I can put office hour group discussions together based on the times that work for all of you. All right. By the way, this is the teacher edition, so if you're seeing these notes in the margin, that's just because it's talking about different things to mention during the text. But this is the text that you would have in your student edition of the book, and I'm going to try to get it to where you're using the website to look at this text too. All right, freedom of the press. The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution gives newspapers, magazines, and other publications the right to print whatever they see fit, without interference from the government. The framers of the Constitution felt that a free press is vital to a democratic society. This important idea breaks down when schools are involved. As it turns out, there is a difference between free press and high school newspapers. The difference is technical. The First Amendment prevents the government from censoring the press. However, private publishers can censor whatever they want. Since schools and school districts pay the student newspapers' publication costs, they are private publishers. This means that they can edit information as they see fit. They can even refuse to publish some articles. Okay, so I'm going to stop here just to kind of reword that. So what's saying is that the First Amendment, which is part of the U.S. Constitution, which was written in 1786, which is something that we've seen in our social studies book, the First Amendment is freedom of the press, which is you're able to say whatever you want or write whatever you want and print it. So that right stands for everyone, but the difference that this paragraph is trying to bring up, paragraph 3, is that if I'm a publisher and I'm paying people to write books and print books, if I don't like the book they write, then I don't have to publish it. And this paragraph is saying that the same thing is going on with schools. The schools are paying the money to publish a student newspaper. So if a student writes something in that student newspaper that the school doesn't approve of, then the school reserves the right to not publish it. So that's what this paragraph is saying. Paragraph 4. This is a tough lesson for budding journalists, some of whom have challenged the restrictions. One case even made it to the Supreme Court in Hazelwood School District v. Kuhlmeier. Budding journalist, by the way, just means someone who's becoming a journalist. Paragraph 5. Here are the facts. In 1983, students at Hazelwood High, a public high school near St. Louis, Missouri, saw 2 pages missing from their school newspaper, The Spectrum. They found out that the principal, Robert Reynolds, had removed 2 of the articles after finding them unfit for publication. One article, about teen pregnancy, contained interviews with pregnant students whose names were changed. The other article dealt with divorce. Principal Reynolds said the pregnancy article was not appropriate for a high school audience. He was also concerned that the girls' identities would have been revealed eventually in such a small school. His problem with the divorce article was that it was not fair and balanced. He felt it criticized parents without providing their side of the story. Some students were outraged and sued the school. They argued that the issue was not the content of the articles, but whether or not the school had the right to suppress them. In 1988, the Supreme Court ruled 5-3 in favor of the school. The ruling said that while students, quote, do not shed their First Amendment rights at the schoolhouse gate, end quote, no school should tolerate activities inconsistent with its basic educational mission. In other words, when student expression is school-sponsored, it can be censored, as long as those doing the censoring have valid educational reasons. The law now varies from state to state. States that disagree with parts of the ruling have their own laws that govern students' freedom of expression. Paragraph 9. We are now left with these critical questions. Is it fair for some students to have greater freedom of speech in their high school newspapers when others are subject to censorship? What does their situation say about us as a society and nation? The framers of the Constitution believed that if governments could censor opinions they did not like, the public would be less educated. Given that schools are places of education, it seems counterproductive to limit students' free speech. The more opinions students are exposed to, the better equipped they will be to handle the issues they will face later in life.